I was getting out of my car yesterday, and I normally put my bag in my back seat. I used to put my bag in the back of my car, but because of like where I live, my driveway's on like a little bit of a hill, and then my shit always rolls out the back. My like shaker cup always falls out, and a bunch of things always come flying out. And so I put it in the back seat. But the other day I made the mistake of putting it next to me. And then when I got out, I did this gay pirouette because my bag was heavy. And then it was like back here like this, and I was getting out of the car. And as I was getting out of the car, of course, there's a fan right there. And he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Oh my God, he just saw me do like the gayest move ever." Almost threw out my back too. Like, what am I thinking? You got to think more about these things as you get older. You can get hurt so easy.
That would have been awful to tell everybody about the bodybuilding show.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
"Oh, dude, he had to pull out last minute. Oh no, did he pull something? Yeah, he's trying to pull his bag out of his car.
Yeah, and
he almost died.
And he blew it out." Speaking of blowing it out, people have been blowing it out big time in this gym. I mean, it's of no surprise because people eat a lot of protein and stuff, but we got to start making rules around here. People are in the bathroom for hours on end just scrolling, just looking at their phone. You know, I don't know, like, what's an acceptable amount of time to poop? What do you think?
I have real issues. I only go when I'm home. So
Oh,
technically I'm on vacation. So right now, suffering from a little vacation ass. You go on vacation, your ass goes
what's
on
vacation? Vacation ass.
Yeah,
So,
vacation constipation.
by the
That's real.
time,
Your butt's asleep.
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely takes a little break. So by the time it comes back around, you're home for a few days.
You think it just clenches up a little bit and just...
you got a real problem.
Being on the road, I've definitely, my butt's not shy anymore.
Oh,
For a couple reasons, but mainly I can poop anywhere now.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But what's an acceptable amount of time? I guess like at your own house, I guess you can just take your time. But like, you shouldn't be in there until your legs fall asleep. That's too long. And you shouldn't be in there until like sometimes the lights will shut off. We have a guy in here that takes a shit, and every time he's in there, the lights go off.
That's
And it's like, I think the dimmer is like set for like 10 or 12 minutes. I mean, that's excessive.
It's happened to me before. Yeah.
How long does it take to actually take a shit?
it shouldn't be more than a 4-minute process.
Yeah,
beginning to end.
yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah. I mean, in the military, what do they do? We got to look this up.
I'll look it up, but 4 minutes, that'd be like a world record for me.
Because remember,
There's a lot that goes on.
We had a military guy on the podcast one time. We had this guy, Alan Thrall, we had him on the podcast. And he said he took too long to take a dump. He was just having this like crazy stomach issue. And they threw him out of a porta potty while his pants were still around his ankles, while he had poop all over him. They like, grabbed him out of there and chucked him out of there because he was in there for too long. I don't know what, is there some sort of average? Can we look this up? Can we Google this? I mean, there's got to be. And then plus we have the squatty potty in there, which is supposed to help push everything out faster.
There should be a 1, 2, 3. So
Coffee?
The bottom line is you have 2 seats.
Mm.
Do you have a line of people waiting to get in? Or is this something where everybody's looking for their personal space?
I think
So Google doesn't pull
there's
up.
plenty of room in here.
Yeah, it doesn't pop up like continue the whole time of like pooping, wiping, and then getting all up. But it says that it takes approximately 12 seconds for the poop to come out.
Yeah.
I think that I can agree with that.
I think 4 minutes is
So a minute,
plenty of time.
Yeah, a minute to kind of like brew it, I guess, while you're sitting there. A minute, to clean up, maybe. A minute to wash your hands, if you're into that kind of thing. And then that would be it, right?
I got a rule, man. It's hotel rooms and my house. Where I work is disgusting.
What about the airport?
Cleaned every day? No. Nope.
What about when you worked at the airport?
I could wait till I get home. Every day I wait till I get home.
And has that ever been a problem on the way home? Like,
Oh, sure.
got to make a pit stop at the Montrose Deli.
Nope.
Running there holding your butt cheeks.
My son can go anywhere. Matter of fact, a restaurant we go to probably every Friday night, the door does not lock. It's a urinal and a crapper.
I used to have the fear of going public, but I don't anymore.
He goes in there every single time we go out to dinner, every Friday night. He goes in there, he blows it up, and people walk in to take a piss. And there he is just sitting there. And you'll see these like older men, like they're hammered. And they just slam the door and they're like, Jesus Christ, walking away.
He's in there just letting loose.
He could care less. Me, I have issues.
What is going on with this kid? He's going to college?
That's what
Is
I
he
hear.
old enough for that?
That's what I hear. What's today's date?
How old is this kid?
20th.
He's gonna be young. He's going to college as a
He was
17-year-old.
10. Like
Yeah.
he was 10 not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like just like 2 years ago, he's 10. I swear to God. Is my math off? Again?
we all admit, except for your father, none of us are good at math. But
Yeah.
he's going in 2 weeks, August 31st. We'll be getting rid of him, and
Yeah. What's that like?
the process was really cool. He's going to play sports.
Yeah.
So there was.
He's a lacrosse player, right?
Yeah, he's a goalie. He had a lot of schools interested in him. He found the one he liked at a young age. So he happened to hit it off really good with the coach. And coach took a liking to him. He took a liking to them. He did a few sleepovers, met a bunch of people.
Yeah.
As you know, it's your boy's alma mater, too.
Yeah. John Cena, ladies and gentlemen.
So
Springfield, Massachusetts.
he is about as fired up as you can get. He's nervous, but he's fired up at the same time.
What's the campus look like? I'd imagine it's amazing.
Campus is beautiful. It was built in the 1800s, so it's got a lot of really old, Northeast charm to it, I would say. The one nice thing about being in freshman dorm he's in, it's one of the only ones with air conditioning, so he's a little spoiled. Other than that, he's going in as a freshman. He's got to start competing for his job now because through high school, he was the only goalie.
Right.
So he never really had that somebody on top of him breathing down his neck. He was always the man, which is good and bad. You get all the playing time, but you don't always get that guy coming up behind you that's pushing you and driving you. Now he's going somewhere where he's got to compete.
How do you do competition-wise, like when, because Hendrick Hudson High School is a fairly small school, right?
Very small.
But lacrosse is big on the East Coast. How did he do when the competition level got tougher? Did he do pretty well most of the time?
Honestly, he plays better against better competition. When you put him up against it, that's when he performs at his best. So
Otherwise, he's kind of bored.
yeah, and you'll see times where he's not paying attention, and he'll just let like a lob go
I don't
through.
blame
And,
him.
and I'm not one to judge because I'll be goddamned if I'm standing in front of one of those balls. I mean,
Yeah.
they wear separate from a hockey goalie cup,
Yeah.
a chest protector, and a helmet. He's broken his wrist. He's broken
man.
several thumbs. Well, 2 thumbs, but each one a couple times. He's got a set of balls on him, and he was a football player for a few years.
Who's more nervous about him going to college, you or him?
Her. I'm excited for him. I think getting out of town, moving on, starting a new chapter of his life is a really big thing for him right now. So I'm excited for him. I'm not really nervous.
Right. I agree 100%. And who knows how it works out, or even if it doesn't work out, but you go and you try.
Yep.
And that's how you learn.
I don't have-
Maybe he loves it. Maybe he hates it.
I have no preconceived notion that he's going there to be the starting this, the starting that, or that he's even on the team next year.
Right.
That was the tool that got him to the destination. It certainly wasn't his grades.
Right.
So we're hoping now that, he starts to find his passion and start going towards it. So he's going in for sports management, and we'll see where that takes him.
What if he does what my brother does, and he, a year in, it's like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to become a professional wrestler.
That would be very interesting. I think your father said it the best last night at his party. You never know what roads your kids are going to take you down, and you cannot prepare yourself for what life's going to throw at you from everything that happened with your brother Michael. Your father was not prepared for that. He was not prepared for where Chris is taking him, and he's certainly, loving it. But the journey you've gone on is 3 totally different directions.
Right.
So it'll be interesting because he's a good kid. He means well, and I think when he finds what that is, that turns him on, he's going to be very successful at it.
Right.
My daughter, on the other hand, is she's hell bent on being a surgeon. She performs surgeries. If she would take John Cena right now and
she'd start working
she would
on
do
it.
an appendectomy on him as we're sitting here. Matter of fact, my wife just ordered her on Amazon. Ordered her an entire knives, scrubs, hat, mask.
Can you imagine
the
if
whole
that's
nine?
can you imagine if that's what she does?
Yeah. She's on.
How cool is that?
She just did a procedure on a bear. Her teddy bear. It's about yo big, and she performed a C-section on it.
Oh my God.
And the C-section turned out to be our new pet dog that popped out of this bear's stomach.
Oh my
And
God.
it was on YouTube. It was pretty creative for, two 14-year-olds fucking
You gotta
around in a
track
room.
down that video.
What would I even search for?
You would actually do 14-year-old aspiring surgeon. And you'll see, I think there's a picture of an American flag in the back and a girl. And it's about a 2-minute video. It's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
She's a creative little shit. Another one. Great kid, great athlete.
She's always been that way. She's always been really funny, right?
Oh my God. It's she got the best of she's just like my wife.
Oh my God. What does she have, like an ultrasound going?
You have to listen to the video. It's that funny.
Holy cow.
So there's an ultrasound, there's
This is
heartbeats.
incredible. What?
Yeah,
and how can you not, just want to amplify that? Like whatever the hell she has going on in her head, how do you just not support that?
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? Like just, hey, that's amazing. Rather than being like, hey, knock it off. What are you doing? Right?
her creativity and where my son always had his friends and they're always out in the yard and there's balls flying all over the place and holes in my siding because they're hitting the house with balls. And, I loved it. I loved having the kids over. His grade in particular happens to be just my favorite. They're just a great group of kids. This one comes up with this shit. So,
it's amazing, and she's in different
Here
costumes
comes-
all the time.
here comes the birth.
Oh my God, a teddy bear giving birth to a actual live puppy.
Yeah.
First time it's ever happened in the United States. Happened a bunch of times in Germany, I believe. But wow,
What a cute dog.
that is amazing.
Yeah, you wanted it's
they
it's up for adoption for
I
free.
have too many already from having this exact same conversation. Oh, what a cute dog. Do you want it? No. Then the girlfriend, yeah, we do. Like, oh, okay.
So, we talked a bunch this weekend about how we all used to hang out and we all used to, kick it on the weekends, and our parents were great at making sure we all got together and everything. And then we've had long periods of time where we haven't seen each other, but I think you said it best yesterday at my dad's party when you kind of pointed out, like, for some reason it doesn't matter that we haven't seen each other, haven't talked, or I barely have a second to even text anybody. As I was eating my sushi today, I looked at my phone and I was like, I don't have time for any of that. There's 37 text messages on there. There's no way of getting to it. I can't look at Facebook. I don't have time for any of those things. And a lot of us literally don't have the time to pour into. If we had to, if somebody had an emergency, we all would. But you got your kids, you got your life going, I got my life going, and it's hard to always connect. But when we do connect, it's like nothing, we never left.
No, I think that's the best part. I mean, this is my third trip out here now. The first trip you were in your old gym.
Yeah.
I was probably stuck in that parental trap of having two kids that do travel sports year round, whether it's volleyball, boys and girls lacrosse. My daughter also played football for a year. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing videos of her destroying kids or
that's-
boys.
That's another one. It's not on YouTube, but it's a good one. But she, if I'm not going from volleyball to lacrosse to field to practice, probably the best thing that ever happened was my son got his driver's license. We were able to set him free. But each time I come out here, it's been like a different adventure. Each adventure has been, you kind of lose yourself a little bit along the way because you're providing and you're doing the right things for the people around you. But I can pick up the phone and talk to you, and it's
Right.
like nothing ever changed. Nothing
Right.
ever happened. I feel terrible. I didn't get to say goodbye to Chris today, but we went out to breakfast this morning. Everything's
Yeah.
fine. And the next time I pick up the phone and talk to him, or the next time we text each other, it's like nothing ever happened.
Well,
So
and he's
it's-
not going to be like, you dick, you never said bye
yeah.
to me.
Where were you?
Yeah.
That's the best part of the relationship between all of us. It was very apparent yesterday at his party that we had a really great day. It was a great time.
Yeah, the whole weekend's been amazing. We've had a guy on this show many times. He's a legend in the fitness industry, and his name is C.T. Fletcher. And C.T. Fletcher is an older guy. He's now in his 60s or late 50s. Sorry, C.T., if I'm getting your age wrong, buddy. Don't kill me. CT has had like a heart transplant. Really tough guy, but he motivates a lot of people, gets people really excited, and gets people fired up. And anyway, we had him on the show before, and he talked about how as a kid he was abused, and he had all these rotten things happen to him. And we're so lucky to have such good parents. You can't pick your parents, and we end up with these fortunate situations of having great people around us. But one thing that he said that I really loved was, I said, your dad was really cruel to you, but it hardened you and it turned you into the man that you are today. And then with his kids, like he's got children that he has them like on payroll, and like he's just doing all kinds of stuff for them above and beyond that maybe is like too caring, And I said, do you see that as a problem? And he said, hey, I'd rather give him ice cream than a punch in the face. You know what I mean? Like if that's my fault that I give him too much ice cream, then I'll take that all day long. Do you kind of feel similar with your kids? Like if you smothered them too much, or if you were around them too much, or hugged them too much, you're just like, hey, you know what? So what? I didn't, kick their ass enough and teach them the value of $1 or whatever you may have missed out on by hugging them a little extra.
Well, I think that there's not a kid around that has a clue of the value of $1. That is lost upon this younger generation. My son has a job in the summer.
Oh, cool.
He knocks it dead at a golf course with tips.
Yeah.
Just kissing people's asses, and they take care of him.
That's great.
So all of a sudden, he's got a lot of cash.
Right.
Boom. He's and that's to save for school.
Right.
But I see him throwing it around a little bit. So he's starting to understand.
Right.
The approach that your parents and my parents took a little bit different. My father had the ability to just give you a look. And if that look didn't stop you in your tracks, he hit me 3 times in my life. I remember them vividly. I could have flashbacks about them.
Right.
And it was all stupid shit. But I think one was for farting in a car. So I was told.
Must have been a bad one.
I was told to stop. We were driving home from a movie. I had one of my friends, my sister, everybody was in the car, and we're driving home, and I was just lighting the car up. It was bad. It was bad for me. So
it was killing everybody.
I can imagine what it did for everybody else, and it was younger. So it was stop. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. Kept dropping the rest of the way home. We finally get to this light where he could stop the car. He turned around and gave me the look, and I was like, oh, shit. Keep driving. All of a sudden, I'm like, just a little, just enough. And he had a brand new car. It was that little station wagon that you were driving back in the day, that little Subaru wagon. It probably had 2,000 miles on it. I got out of the car. I was across the hood in 2 seconds with him on top of me. I didn't fart in the car anymore. So a couple other times, just stupid shit. Matter of fact, the other time he hit me with a shovel. I was getting in his way while he was working. He turns around with a shovel. He's almost hitting me. Finally, he turns around. He connects. Not by accident.
Right.
He gets pissed at me, throws me in the house, and comes inside, and I got it after that. So it's like, you already hit me with a shovel. What else you got to do that for? So that happened too, yeah. And then there was one more that was pretty good. But he had the ability to have my full attention. And my sister pushed him a little bit too much. Like, he'd have to really get into her. But you just knew. And
yeah.
I kind of take that with both of my kids. They, and I'm getting better as I get older, I think. Because, they say when they're small, the problems are small, and they get bigger. That's a true freaking statement, man. And now that he's getting older and she's getting older, with my son, the eye works. With my daughter, you got to push it a little bit. You have to repeat yourself once or twice.
She's not as scared of
you. Don't have to take that same, I've tried to mimic what they've done.
Right.
And my wife and I are both on the same page when it comes to stuff. There's nothing we do to either child that we haven't at least discussed first.
Right.
Unless it happens on a whim, Right. But we kind of got each other's back in that regard.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky. We're probably the most spoiled kids of all because we had that growing up.
Right.
parents that would do anything for you whenever you asked, and would do that extra and go the extra mile.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, my brother started getting into lifting weights, and we had a whole garage full of weights. A lot of us loved playing basketball, so wherever they could put a basketball hoop in, they put a basketball hoop in, right?
my dog shit on your weights.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even like dogs. All we're doing was dog talking. How'd that go? You remember better than me.
Yeah. I mean, I just find it, fascinating, the way that you try to parent, and there's no wrong or right way, but it's no matter what, it's always difficult. It's always a hard, it's always a hard formula to figure out, and it does seem that like just leading by example seems to be, one of the most beneficial things. I just learned a lot from just watching my dad. I mean, I remember being a certain age and just, it just sinks in. You're like, that's my dad. I remember going to work with him, and he just showed me like what he did at IBM, and I was like, this is the worst job ever. I never wanted to. Whatever he does or whatever this is going on that he's got to wear a suit and tie for every day, I'm not going to do anything like this. This looks like torture.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he would go to like from office to office, and he just showed me like some things, and then he showed me like he juggled at his desk and just I don't know. He showed me around a little bit, but I was like, this just seems like he's just trapped. He's just trapped in this big cage, and he's got to come and work for somebody else. I was like, this isn't my idea of fun. But I learned how to work for myself through him because he lost his job there and then ended up working for himself. And then our grandfather worked for himself, and he was, an early entrepreneur before people use the term, And he was out figuring out a way to have like a side hustle, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, he was doing it way before it was cool.
Yeah.
That was a...
Yeah, and any like marketing skills or any of those things I mentioned before on the podcast, I think I just picked up from watching them, make hats and T-shirts and signs and different things to try to get attention for the businesses that they had. So I definitely just, learned a lot from watching him, and I was babied the most out of anybody. By far, but I just saw my brothers get in trouble all the time. So I didn't get in trouble. I normally just didn't even go that route because there was just it just didn't make any sense for me. I was like, we just get the hell beat out of you. Doesn't seem great. It doesn't seem great to get spanked and stuff after church every week just because you laughed or whatever. And how do you not laugh in church? It's like there's always somebody, especially the church that I went to. I mean,
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours, too long, and
plus the Wednesday. It was that Wednesday night.
Yep, and then just people, I don't know, singing and crying and dancing in the aisles and stuff. I was like, I'm 9 years old. How do I not laugh at this? This is amazing. I don't know what these people are doing, but this is hilarious to me.
I'd always catch a elbow to the rib for falling asleep.
Yeah.
That was too much.
Yeah,
Sunday mornings.
This is supposed to be exciting.
I want to watch cartoons and eat cereal.
Yeah, you want to just chill. So, what inspires you? What gets you fired up when you come out here to California? Because I know you like coming out here. What gets you excited?
When I come, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I haven't found a place, and if anybody in New York has a place that can replicate the vibe of this gym, I mean, you can come in here right now, and obviously there's nobody working out. There's nobody really doing anything. It's just a feeling when you walk in this place, it kicks things up another notch. I've had the privilege of meeting a few people here who've totally changed my life or my approach to life, my approach to nutrition, having some health problems, having a lot of health issues, actually being fat and lazy the last time I was out here and choosing breakfast over working out got me to meet Dr. Sean Baker.
Right.
Probably the turning point of my nutrition in my life.
The interesting thing, though, is that you're not lazy. Like, maybe you decide to make other choices that aren't healthy, but you're not lazy. My dad's not lazy.
Correct.
Like, he has made choices in the past to not exercise, and so maybe he's, like, lackadaisical in that area. I guess maybe you can say he's a little lazy when it comes to that. But you know him; he's a hard-nosed bastard, and he doesn't give up on anything. And that's where I scratch my head because I'm like, you're supposed to be a man, and part of being a man is like being in control, right? Having control over your over your body, over your mindset, over your relationship, over your loyalty, over all these things, right? And it's having a lot of respect for yourself, male or female. But then you walk by a bowl of potato chips, and the very conversation that you had with yourself 15 seconds ago about not eating some of those potato chips, you're right there in that same pit eating those potato chips, dipping them in God knows what, and you're just there doing that again. And the conversation you have with yourself the night before, you're like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to go for a walk, that's going to do me some good, that's what I need to get done. And then you don't do it.
Yeah. Sunday nights. Sunday nights are where I come up with my best ideas. How I'm going to change this, how I'm going to change that. It's almost like how Grandma had her, well, I'm going to start my diet on Monday morning, Every she's cooking for 1,000 people.
Starting on Monday.
And
it all started on Monday.
Everything started on Monday. So every Sunday night I lay down with this fucking brilliant plan of how we're just going to flip everything the next day. I'm not going to get too into my job. I'm not going to get too into this. I'm going to focus on myself and my own health. And I find a great way not to do it over and over again. And I think as we're meeting Dr. Baker was so huge
I think it's
for me.
Just comfort and convenience.
I do what's easier. I'm sitting in an office all day. It's a
But you've done a lot of hard things. Like you played football. You used to bike really far. Like you used to bike like 50 miles, 100 miles a week or something crazy, right?
I used to do one trip a week home from Manhattan. It was a 63-mile ride take your bike to work in the morning and pedal home.
So there's something in your brain that at least likes some of that.
Yeah, but I've found pain. I've found things that, and unfortunately, it's nice that I'm built like this because people think like I can pick up all kinds of shit when I really can't. So it's kind of like this illusion that walks through the door. Especially when I come out here, I'm not about to touch a weight because, it's a little embarrassing. So I've had that kind of just the physical size, the physical mass was always there, but I never had a discipline. Once I get focused on work, I'm all about that. Once I get focused on getting to one of my children's games, I'm all about that. Spending time with them is more important to me than anything with me.
Right.
So, and that's why I'll always go back to Dr. Baker. And you got me started on the keto the second time I came out. Yeah. Keto did great until my stomach started just, oh my God, I almost had shit at work a few times. And that's no good. I can only go at home. So it's once I got past that.
Yeah.
Met Dr. Baker, and he said one of those things. It's like a fat guy's dream. You either love the concept of the carnivore, or it makes you sick to your stomach.
Right.
And the first date I ever went on with my wife, one of the things I was so attracted to besides her was she ordered a steak for dinner. So that was 1996.
So like, I'll have the 32-ounce porterhouse, medium rare.
Yeah, and my Uncle Peter was there. A bunch of us went out. Yeah. And she had no trouble whacking a steak in front of me back then. I was like, this is cool. It's not like you're going out with that girl that's just sitting there nibbling on things and, being all meek and feeble about it. She was attacking something. So
how do you feel about my brother drinking your wife's breast milk?
That was... that was pretty funny. That was
your son's eyebrows just went, whoa. I think that was your food, buddy.
That was most definitely meant for you. And your brother was over. It was a sleepover. It wasn't a sleepover.
I think we're at some
town.
sort of family gathering or something because I remember it being a big deal.
And he was just, just in his typical form. He was like fucking around with her about something. He grabbed his
he was
bottle.
trying to encourage him to eat it.
She was messing.
I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to encourage Vin to drink it. So
No. He says, "What's this?" And she says, "It's breast milk." He's like, "Yeah, whatever." She's like, "Go ahead, have some." And he just went like this, and he just started going at it. And he's like, "It didn't taste right to him." She's like, "I told you." And he just had this horrified look, and you could tell he was about to kill it. So that didn't stop him. But yeah, that was intended for you, Vin. And,
everyone was just horrified. I remember that. Everyone was like, "What the hell?" Because I think he just thought that because your wife loves to mess with people. Yeah. But she also loves to give it to you straight, and that's what she was doing.
Oh yeah, that wasn't even a mess around type thing. It was no, it's breast milk. You want to drink it, you dick? Go ahead. And he went right for it.
Your uncle ate your food, man. You should have been 3 inches taller.
A few more pounds.
So the So the carnivore diet is a little easier. Like a lot of times, do you look forward to eating that kind of food, even though it's kind of it gets to be a routine of eating the same thing over and over again.
It can get a little played out from time to time, but coming out here was nice with the In-N-Out burger. We don't have that in the East Coast, so to be able to go to In-N-Out and try something a little different was cool. And they don't have bacon. I don't know why they don't have bacon at In-N-Out burger. That's bullshit.
I'm telling you, when we leave here, we can go get one mustard fried. So a Flying Dutchman, which is what you got, which is good, but you got to get it mustard fried with grilled onions. It'll melt your face off. It's good.
Nice. I could use some. I could use a little more melting in the face.
What about Chick-fil-A? He went to Chick-fil-A the other day. Andrew loves Chick-fil-A, or used to.
I used to. Yeah. There's once I realized there's no getting around like eating anything good there. Like, I mean, you only can eat bad things there. Like you can't dress it up in any way. It's always going to be bad for you.
It was a family compromise after 3 days of straight out In-N-Out burger. Day 4, my brother-in-law was
day 4 is when the magic happens, though.
Yeah.
You go 4 days in a row, that's when it changes. It gets better.
Well, and Jake has never been to Chick-fil-A, and he talks about it all the time.
It's funny.
And I was like, "There's not really a scenario where I'm going to take you to Chick-fil-A, just so you know."
And then they totally trick you because they have this superfood side salad. It's fucking delicious. It has just like broccolinis. It has kale, and it's like, dude, this has to be healthy. But it's the dressing that you love.
Oh yeah.
And then when you look at the actual calorie content, you're like, holy shit, I just ate a Snickers. It's like it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Broccoli Snickers.
Yeah, and then you get the spicy chicken sandwich and the fries, and next thing you know,
yeah.
And that's salad is like a funneling system for junk because the dressing kills you every single time. It's the calories are too crazy, and then the fats that are in there are just awful. Yeah. It's a real shit show.
I think we all have the same genetic makeup. I mean, we eat the wrong food, we put weight on. You kind of are the.
Well, yeah, I gotta
you are disciplined enough
Yeah.
to overcome that, and what you're doing now is just, to me, I'll call it close to impossible, and that's where carnivore was cool because you're either all in at the idea of chewing on a steak, or you're all out.
Right.
And for me, I'm usually home before my wife's home from work, so I'm cooking dinner, probably 3 nights a week, and whether I make it right for everybody or not is a different story. But it used to be I'd go outside, fire up the grill, get everything ready, and then I walk inside the house. I'm like, oh shit. I didn't do anything with any salads, any this, any that. And now I'm like whipping stuff up last minute, boiling a bag of rice and throwing it down the kids' throats and moving on. Now it's like, all I got to do is go outside, throw a steak on, and I'm done.
Right.
Now we can just eat, and that's dinner. Goodbye. It's awesome. So when I had first started, the last time I was out here, I was 261 on your little scale you got outside. I was 237 yesterday. But I'd actually originally lost 50 pounds when I went straight carnivore after surgery without working out. So I had torn my bicep preparing for the Super Training Classic.
That's right.
Wasn't a weightlifting related injury, but I fell down a flight of stairs, tore my bicep, decided to come out anyway before my surgery.
And you weighed what, 220 then or something?
No, I was 261 when I was there. So in January, I was 261.
Yeah, but what'd you get down to?
I got down to 223.
Oh, okay.
And kind of, I'm not going to say I got lazy with carnivore. I probably went from doing it 100% to doing it 60%. But I started letting other things in because my son's in season, my daughter's in season, and Monday through Thursday you're at games. You're at games on Saturday, and all of a sudden it wasn't as easy.
Right.
As soon as I hit the 240 mark again, I said, "Holy shit, that's never supposed to happen again." And I actually ended up at like 244.
That's a really good way of doing it. That's something that I've done, coming all the way down from 330 pounds. Every 20 pounds or so that I go down, I say, okay, that next, that 10 or that 20 pounds up, I'm never going above that again. And every time I kept coming down, I would just say, goodbye to 270 and so on down the line. And I try to make it reasonable because there's going to be a 10-pound swing here and there, maybe even 15 pounds, for a guy that's above 220 pounds. It's going to happen here and there. But, it's a thing. Here's the problem. The problem is that being in shape is a full-time job. And being in shape, like a shape that you want to actually have, is a full-time job, and that's why nobody has one, because it takes so long, it takes so much time. Here's another thing that people don't realize: people that work out aren't in the shape that they want to be in. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the gym because I'm self-conscious. Like everyone there is in shape." That's actually not true. A lot of the people in the gym are not only are they heavy, but they're flat out obese. They are carrying a lot of excess body weight, and they're there to try to fight it off. They're making some of the right steps, some of the right moves towards it, and so it's a really difficult thing to try to figure out. And when you watch a show like Biggest Loser and you see people crying about it, you see people having like depression about it and stuff, and it's hard to wrap your brain around. Or even if you see somebody doing something similar with drugs, you watch some of these shows, these recovery shows, and they have these interventions and everyone's crying, and you're like, why are you crying, you asshole? You got yourself hooked on heroin. You got yourself in this position. Horrible position to be in. I kind of feel for you. It's half your fault and maybe half not. Some bad circumstances came your way. And the same thing happens with food. And it's like, but not being compassionate towards it doesn't help. The only thing that will help is for people to lend a hand to people. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I spend all this money having this podcast, putting out the videos that I have, having a free gym, trying to lend people a hand, having people here that will help people that come into the gym. Smokey was working with Vincent when he came in, but we work with, it doesn't have to be a relative of mine. We work with everybody that comes in here, and we try to make a lasting impact. Dr. Baker sharing information with you. Those kinds of things are really common. They're commonplace here, but it's not common around the globe, around the country. And there's not enough people willing to just lend a hand to somebody. So if you're listening to this right now and you know someone that's not working out, that should be working out, just encourage them. Say, hey, why don't you roll with me for a day? Just come with me. It's not hard. Just come with me. Exercise and your diet doesn't have to always be hard to end up having some goal that's on the next level. That's could take a lifetime, but to lose a little weight and to be healthier, it can happen in days. It can literally happen in days, and that's what you saw. You lost 50 pounds in like 3 months, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was.
You texted me every other day. Like, it seemed like every other day you're losing 2 pounds.
Yeah. No, it went at a rapid pace, and it was phenomenal. But to the point of everybody here at this gym and what goes on in what I'll call the real world. I mean, in the real world, you have your friends you work out with, you have your people that are in shape, that work out around you. I can't think of a gym I've gone to where somebody comes out of their way to spend 15 minutes with my son yesterday, just getting him in a proper position, getting his shoulders squeezed to do a bench. I've never seen anybody squeeze their shoulders to do a bench prior to coming here. It was always keep everything as flat as you can, do this, do that. So to have somebody spend time on the technique, the whole concept of everything you guys have done out here is so over the top that when I go home, you kind of go to a couple gyms and, it does not exist. You walk in, and again, being built like me, I walk in somewhere and I see some little 20-year-old kid pick something up. My thing is always, okay, I got to go 2 pounds heavier than that. He picks up something this big, I got to go that much bigger. And I'll kill myself trying to prove a point. And at 46, that shit ain't working no more. It hurts. Yeah. So it's kind of making that decision now that, if carnivore is going to be the way, or if just being more conscious of what I eat is going to be a different way of doing things, and being aware that you're going to fuck up. You're going to go to your father's birthday yesterday and see a few things and mess around a little bit. But then today, you're back and on and moving forward. Right. That's huge. So I always leave here like supercharged to take over the world. But you go back to gyms that are just, you got to make up your own shit every day. And it's like... and
it's demotivating because you see people, you keep looking around and you see people doing stuff the wrong way. Yeah. And you see and hear people say the wrong thing all the time. And you're like, gee, that's not right. That's like the exact opposite of what I learned. Somebody would say, oh, red meat's bad for you, or salt's bad for you.
Well, I can't...
It's like, man, I'm learning all these things that are complete opposite of all that.
I have 2 major health issues that I've had for blood pressure I've had for over, I'm 46, for 26 years. I've been dealing with high blood pressure. For the past 28, so for the past 15 years, I've been dealing with a liver issue that had actually turned into stage 2 fibrosis.
And those two things are connected.
Nothing I did ever. I could lose weight. I could be pedaling that bike halfway around the country. Didn't matter. I had actually gotten down to about 216 pounds. That's when Bigger, Stronger, Faster came out. I came out here at 217. That's the lightest I had ever been since I was an adult. And when we came out for that trip, I was the lightest. I was the most in shape I ever been. My blood pressure was always, even medicated, 150 over 100 minimum. I've seen it go as high as 190 over 126. My liver enzyme count, no matter what I do, I gave up drinking for 3.5 years before it started to change. Now I'll have a drink every once in a while. I'm not as crazy about it as I was back then, but as soon as carnivore started, everything these doctors have been telling me not to do all my life, I'm now doing. And I watch my blood pressure go to a point where it's almost low. I'm hitting like the 117 over 71 mark on a regular day. I've gone from 3 pills to 1. My liver enzyme count is within range now. It's the high end of within range, but it's never been within range before. So the results I'm seeing that way, and that's without working out. You know, just being a guy that goes to work, comes home, and is around his family. This way of eating has completely changed.
Well, and not even dialed in 110% to the diet.
Yeah.
Like you did it for a good period of time and did it very strict, and then you've been off of it, and now you're kicking back into it.
Yeah. And you hit that number and then say, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But you know exactly what to do, and you just start the next day back at the grill, and everything just works out. So,
yeah, so much of that is knowledge, because somebody's going to tell you, you're going to go to a doctor, and they're going to say, oh, you know, it's hereditary. You know, it's and this hereditary stuff is a joke. It really is. It's a disaster. To even arm somebody with that information is like, oh, well, you might as well just give up. You know, you're just gonna always suck at that. Like that's always gonna be a problem. There obviously are things that are hereditary. There are things that are hereditary, but things are also environmental, and things are also learned. You ever watch, a pair of ducks, walking across the street? They all walk the same way. You ever look at a family walking at a local fairground, and you're like, wow, dad's walking really weird. Oh my God, what kind of walk is that? And then you see the mom, you're like, whoa. And then the kids, you're like, oh my God, they all walk the same. Is that hereditary? Is that like the shape of their hips and the shape of their thighs and the shape of their calves and stuff? Could be. Or is that just what they learned from watching their parents walk like a bunch of retards? It's a combination. It's a combination of things going on. But mainly, a lot of these things are environmental. And somebody's going to say, well, yeah, because because of your heritage, you're going to have problems regulating your glucose. Let me inform you that any family is going to have a hard time regulating their glucose if they continue to eat cupcakes all the time. The human body is not designed to eat cupcakes, and that's why I threw away over 20 cupcakes, because I cannot look at my nieces and nephews and kids walking by those goddamn cupcakes all day. Everybody already had some. Everybody already ate plenty of food. Everybody had plenty of snacks. I'm all for it. Eat your ice cream. Have fun. But when it's time, there's absolutely no reason for that to be around anymore. There's no reason for it to be shared. I'm not bringing it to the gym. I used to do stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? No one needs this. It's going in the garbage. And, sometimes you feel like a maniac about it. You're like, am I being a maniac? Or should this just be done? If everybody already had some, everybody already had taste for it. It's not like you don't know what a cupcake tastes like. Everybody already had some. And by the way, a cupcake is not even that good. And cake, for that matter, is not even that good. And we need to put a stop to some of these things. People are having stuff, they're wasting calories on shit that's not that good. And I got a major problem with that. if you're gonna throw away your diet, then have it be with food that tastes really good.
Mm-hmm.
What would you throw it away over? Separate from this week.
Yeah, well, I think everybody could agree, like pizza,
Mm-hmm.
ice cream, a good cheeseburger, a good bacon cheeseburger, like
With
all these
fries.
things.
It's got to have fries.
All these things make sense. French fries, I've never been a French fry person. Like I got a problem with food. Same reason why I got a problem with banana, right? And the same reason why monkeys scratch their head over a banana, because a banana changes form in 10 seconds, and so do French fries, and so do nachos.
That's
Nachos
fair.
are a ridiculous thing. If you leave nachos on it, like even the very act of ordering some nachos for a table, and it's like 5 people are all in on those nachos will be horrible within about 30 seconds. They're great. A couple chips are great, but then it gets soggy. It turns into this big mess. You're not sure whether to eat it with a fork or whatever. French fries, you got like, I don't know, you got about a minute and a half to eat those things, and they're pretty good when they're hot. I'll admit to that. They're pretty good when they're hot, but I don't know. People are coffee. Coffee does not taste good. Alcohol does not taste good. Coffee and alcohol, they do not taste good. Feed it to your children and watch them. They will show you that it tastes like shit. And I think that a lot of people, they're into like these weird frappuccinos and stuff. And that's different. That's not coffee.
Yeah.
And then, if you ask somebody, people are not even into real food. And then they'll glance at the stuff I'm eating. They're like, what are you eating? I'm eating food, you asshole. What the fuck are you eating? That's the real question. You're eating this weird processed stuff that's made in some factory. I'm eating a cow.
And you're eating,
or a chicken or a fish or whatever it is,
yeah, and you're eating that cow, and everybody's telling you how you're going to die from a massive heart attack, and this is going to happen to you, and that's going to happen to you. Well, they're sitting there smoking a cigarette, you're drinking away, and I'll have a drink from time to time. I'm not going to bash any of this stuff because I do it.
I like having a drink,
but it's funny to have people tell you what's going to happen to you while they're doing really stupid shit at the same time.
Isn't that bad for you?
And who said it this week about dying? Was it if you had your choice?
Yeah. It was, so that was said by Dr. Baker. Dr. Baker, a lot of people tell him, eating all that meat, you're going to die of a heart attack. He's like, what a great way to go. Yeah. What are my other options? You don't have a lot of other options. You got cancer. You got other illnesses that just wear you down until your other organs don't work anymore, and you're in the hospital for days on end. Going out with a bang.
Something to be said for it, man.
Sounds like a pretty good way to go.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting argument for it. But, seeing the results, seeing the blood work. My wife wasn't going to go near the diet until she saw my blood work. And when she saw my liver numbers come down, saw my blood pressure on the cuff. I've carried a cuff with me for years.
See, this is also interesting to me, though, too. Because your wife saw the blood work, and then she was intrigued by it. But meanwhile, I'm sure she wasn't making healthy choices beforehand anyway. Right?
Yeah, she has a personal trainer that she
like
sees.
if you're eating like cereal, you're eating chips, you're eating all these different things. That's where I got the problem. People are like that diet's not healthy. Well, who are you to tell me it's not healthy when you don't make all that good healthy choices yourself?
Yeah.
I find that to be fascinating on what people think is healthy. There's a good saying, that nothing is neither good nor bad. It's just your perception of it, and I think that's very true with food. We don't really need to look at all food as being good or bad necessarily. And there's a huge problem with trying to figure out what's healthy, because you got vegans who will go nuts. You got, bodybuilders and CrossFitters and all these different people that'll freak out about these different foods. You got the carnivore people who are like, just eat meat. Vegetables are bad. And it's asinine to say that vegetables are bad. It's asinine to say that potatoes aren't good for you and rice isn't good. And it's asinine to say that carbs aren't good for you. All these things, they don't actually make any sense. But what we can agree upon is we can find common ground in understanding what's bad. Somebody rapes somebody, that's bad. Somebody kills somebody, that's bad. Somebody cheats on their wife, that's bad. Somebody, somebody eats a donut, that's not a great health choice. Like, we know that. You eat a donut repeatedly, it's not a great health choice. You have a donut on one given day, and you normally don't eat donuts, not a huge problem. But it's very easy to pick out what's bad, but whether like red meat is perfect for you, or chicken breast is perfect for you, or this is good for you, or whatever, some of those things are kind of hard to really narrow down. But I think it's pretty easy to have a conversation of saying, you know what? A lot of these foods aren't great for us, and they should just be limited.
Yep.
Just try to keep it simple.
Absolutely.
Something that my brother and I are trying to work on with this nutrition movie that we're working on is we're trying to figure out a way to communicate to people how do we just add to people's lives rather than subtract? Rather than yell at you and say, you can't eat that, what if we just add and say, here's what I need you to do. I need you to sleep more because you're not sleeping well, which is usually connected to just not eating well and connected to people's cell phones being connected to their asses. People need to sleep more. People need to hydrate. They need to drink. They need to literally just drink more water, not more stuff. They need to drink more water. Let's just say drink 3 glasses of water a day. People need to eat more protein. Have 2 or 3 servings of animal protein per day. If you have a moral issue with that, find some other source. Have some sort of protein every day. And go on some walks every day. Yep. And if there's got to be somewhere you have to strength train. I used to not believe that. Even though I've been, in this world for so long, I used to think, any form of exercise will work. It's not true. It doesn't work. It does not work. You need to have muscle mass, and you need to have strength. Strength is never a weakness. I say it all the time. It's part of the moniker here of Super Training Gym, because the more muscle mass that you have, the better your body works for you. Your body works for you. You're not a slave to your body. You don't have to always account for every calorie that goes in your body when your body is a machine at burning off calories. And some women or some people might say, I don't want to be. You're not going to get big. It's not about getting big. If you're eating properly, you're going to stay lean, and you'll have the look that you want. But you gotta, it's addition by subtraction, and hopefully over a period of time, people start to get rid of some of the junk that's in their diet.
Yep.
When you were doing, when you first started a carnivore diet and your blood pressure was looking better, were you salting your food quite a bit?
I was a little hesitant at first, just because of everything you've been told over the years. So, when it was, matter of fact, the Himalayan sea salt was just like this pretty thing that sat literally in a cabinet for years.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever twisting the damn thing. Now we go through them like one every 2 weeks. We're buying another bottle. So it's the concept was very difficult when it's been beaten in your head for so long.
Correct.
That it's wrong. I never put salt. I came from a house that never used salt. So that's what I was used to. If you wanted heat, you threw some pepper, threw some hot sauce and something to get some taste out of it. Now we're salting every single thing we do, and it's incredible. Like I said, I'm still, it's funny because I'm still like the fat guy talking here, but coming down from 270 to where I am now, I know how I feel. I know I'm awake all day. I know I'm not at work doing this behind a computer. I can function through a day, which is something I was really struggling with at that heavier weight.
Yeah.
Forget walking up a flight of stairs and feeling good or feeling like shit. I mean, just staying awake through a day was hard.
Yeah.
So it's the benefits have been unbelievable.
Yeah, because a fan watching right now was asking because his parents both have high blood pressure, so he's a little, he's nervous just the way you were because he's afraid that he's going to have high blood pressure, especially adding salt all over the place.
My senior year of college, I did my physical and was told I couldn't play because I had to go see a doctor to get cleared to play. My senior year of college, I did not even drink at that stage of my life. Not to a point where it meant anything.
You were probably like 200 pounds.
Yeah, probably 205 tops.
Yeah.
I was a punter. I wasn't, I wasn't doing anything dramatic.
Swinging those calves around, kick anything.
Still can.
I used to get bruises from catching punts from him. He could kick the crap out of the ball. It's remarkable.
So, now you're told that at 19, 20 years old that you can't do something because you have high blood pressure, and nobody knows why.
Wow.
So it's been, I would say to him, just put that aside give it a few weeks. I think everybody says give that carnivore 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever change it is you decide to make, where you say I'm getting away from processed carbs, or I'm getting away from sugar, give it 30 days.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Adding that salt to a diet was, to me, it was a game changer. I even find when I get a little tired, I saw you throw salt in your water this afternoon when you were having lunch. I'll do the same thing at work. Tastes like shit, but if you feel
like you're drinking the ocean,
it helps.
Yeah,
it definitely helps. And the hard part is raising kids. You know how we grew up. You know what we ate when we were kids. You know what your average person in our family looked like back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And how they all look today. In that family photo we took just not too long ago, you have uncles that are half the size they used to be. My father, when I was in high school, is half the size he was when I was a senior in high school. Everybody, my mother is smaller, your mother, your father, across the board. My sister's in much better shape than she was years ago.
Your dad's been exercising, kind of on and off, I guess, for a really long time, but on for what, the last 25 years, 20 years? Well, I remember, like, even when I think, even when I still lived in the area, I remember him talking about going to the gym. So he's been...
He was a jogger, so he would come home in the wintertime with icicles hanging off his ears, sitting down right at the breakfast table, watching ice melt off his ears onto a table. That's how we grew up.
Yeah.
We grew up with active people.
Right.
We just ate like shit.
Yeah.
And going to the Bell House on the
look,
weekend,
though, you keep moving, though. And you can still persevere even through some bad eating habits.
Yeah.
He just, over a long period of time, he just kept moving.
And if you look at the family events back in those days, there was never alcohol. There was never anything.
No one really. Not that
nobody drank.
I don't remember drinking. Yeah.
It was food.
Yeah.
And just shit tons of it over and over and over.
Well, and this is where salt, gets a bad reputation. It's not necessarily the salt. And it's also not necessarily the carbs that are the problem. It's also not necessarily the saturated fat that's the problem. It's the combination of everything in such high abundance that ends up being the issue. I don't know about you, but if I drink, get me around some beer, get me off my diet, and get me some salty stuff, and my ankles will swell up. I'll have all kinds of. I don't know if that's partly genetic, or if that's from having bad habits as a kid. And just, we had an abundance of cookies and chips and you name it. It was there. We had all kinds of different access to all kinds of different things. But I think that's where those things get the bad reputation from. Well, of course, it's going to be bad when there's grams and grams of salt when you roll through a McDonald's. That's not going to be a great choice. But when you're an athlete, which, by the way, everyone should consider themselves an athlete. Anyone that participates in any form of exercise should consider themselves an athlete. And then, therefore, you should treat yourself like an athlete. Think about what that means. You see an NFL player get hurt during the game, and they go on the sidelines, and they immediately they consult with somebody, right? Now, we don't always have access to somebody right away, but we usually know somebody that knows somebody. You tweaked your back while you're out here, and right away you were like, I'm going to go get a massage. I need to see an acupuncturist. You try to contact somebody right away. Try to do something about it right away. Sometimes you'll see the NFL football player get on a bike, and they'll get him moving because the guy, they're like, oh, he tweaked his hamstring. And there he is pedaling the bike. Get yourself moving. You think you hurt something, you think you tweaked your ankle, you think you did something, you might need to give it a day or two to relax. You might want to try to consult with somebody, but get moving, get walking. The second that you slow down is the second that you're going to die. The second that you slow down, the second that you stop eating. People are like, oh, I don't really need to eat anymore. It's like, no, that's not actually great. You should have an appetite. You should be hungry. You should be hungry and passionate about the things you're doing. That's a good sign that death is probably creeping around the corner too. But you should have an appetite, not a ferocious appetite. You want to kill off some of those hunger hormones and some of those cravings that gave you the bad habits in the first place, and then that helps you to sort out the different issues that you have. But I just hear these people kind of saying these different things about, oh man, I was doing good, and then I, hurt my elbow, or I hurt my ankle. I twisted my ankle, and it's like, man, those are and you said you tore your bicep, but you lost more weight. That's exactly what people should be doing. When something happens, give yourself some more tender love and care. Put some more time in yourself at that time.
Well, that was as I was getting ready to come out here, was for the Super Training Classic, right?
You were going to shake up the world. I remember.
I was going to move big things. So
you were benching like 365 or something? Was it
365 on a bar? I had literally made up my mind. Not similar to what you're doing because it's totally different, but I was benching 0 to saying, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm at least going to do 315. With or without a slingshot, I'm getting 315 off the ground, and that's what's going to happen. So I was training. I had a trainer. He was doing great by me. He was pushing me, and next thing you know, with a torn bicep, backstage, I was just fucking around. I put 365 in a bar, and I moved it with a slingshot. But so that 315...
I remember Stacy was like, "You got to do something." He's like, "What is he doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to prepare myself. I don't know what he's doing."
So it was, that was my big plan was to come out here and do that. And all of a sudden, now you're faced with going home, and this is a place I go home very charged from every time. To saying, okay, what the fuck am I going to do now? Because I can't lift, and all I've been doing is lifting and getting ready. I had the fortune of meeting Dr. Baker because I couldn't come here and work out. I'm going to try this diet. And now I'm going to say, okay, since I can't put on muscle mass, there's things I can't do because I'm jammed up in this sling, I'm going to lose weight. And it turned into this massive, and I work for a utility. So as soon as I got back, we had some nasty storms hit the Northeast, and we've been working round the clock. I was doing 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, on and off, all through the month of March for sure. Part of April. We've had some crap this summer, which is just terrible weather. And I just go to work with my steaks. And people look at you, you're fucking bizarre. In Bigger, Stronger, Faster, you had Greg Valentino, right? Doing that. I do that now. I don't think twice about sitting at my desk with a strip steak in my hand and just gnawing away at it until it's done. Right down to the fat. I mean, sometimes I'll take a shot at that too. It's So, where you watched him all these years ago, I'm like, wow, he really is crazy. And I had the pleasure of knowing him when I was younger. I used to go to his gym in Peekskill when I was in high school.
I'm a lunatic.
He was the real deal, man. And so, long story short, being able to go through that experience, have something bad happen, say, screw it, I could have easily canceled my flight and not come out here.
Right.
Come out. Schedule the surgery, enjoy my trip here, learn a lot, go back and apply it. And now apply it to a point where my blood pressure is normal and my liver counts are in check.
Right.
Is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre to me. But I know, now that I've put some weight back on, going off of it, that you hit that number and you go, oh shit, time to turn this around and let's get moving back in the other direction.
How many people have asked you about the diet? Would you say like different people at work and different people around you?
I got more professionals around me than I could imagine. I can honestly
like
say right
people,
now,
200 people.
No,
50 people.
I can say right now it's every bit of 50, 60 people, and I can tell you 4 people I work with who did it. I can tell you my family did it for a period of time. It was just so easy.
Yeah.
And now it's just me. I'm trying to.
But most people ask a question, and then as soon as you start saying what it is, they just kind of tune you out, right? Like they're not really.
I think it's that fat guy reaction, right? You're either you hear it and you're drooling, or you hear it and you're sick to your stomach.
Right.
And for me, I was drooling. And like I said, my first date with my wife, she was a steak girl. So so it was easy for us. I think my daughter gets to a point where, like, if you put another steak on a table, it's like you're feeding her rat food, rat poison. Like, how could you do that to me again? I'm sorry, I'm buying you nice stuff. I'm getting something nice to eat for dinner.
Right.
She'd get sick of it, but everybody else really adapted to it well, and they kind of have their own pick of what they want to do now. Right. But I think that's the biggest thing moving forward is really limiting the sugar. I think what you said about throwing those cupcakes out. I didn't see them get thrown out, but I walked by them a few times.
There's just no. I just look at stuff like that, and it's like I'm just thinking like in terms of like what's reasonable. You know, like is this reasonable for this to be sitting here any longer? And you know, what else should we do with it? Like if there's no one else is coming over and everybody's already been fed. I already saw the kids eat cupcakes. I think a few of them had more than one, which all that I'm totally whatever. Enjoy yourself.
They
Have
were
fun.
little.
Have fun. Yeah, you're a little kid. Go nuts. And they had you know, some of those ice things or whatever. And they're dumping all that weird stuff on it. You know, they had a lot of their stuff already. So I'm just like, I'm also just chuck it out. And I think more people just need to try to make choices like that. Try to make maybe you're not going to always make the best choice, but try to make a better choice. Try to just figure out, you know, how do I just make this a little bit better? How do I not be lazy and just you know, pack Doritos for my kids? How do I, you know, maybe I just get some fruit or something. It's not hard. I know everybody wants to make it out to be like it's this impossible thing, but food is a convenience, and it's around us, and it's around us in abundance, and the convenience factor is not really as much of an excuse as it used to be, because you can go to almost any grocery store nowadays, and things are already chopped up and cooked. There's a lot of great options. I mean, you said that you go to the deli sometimes and just get roast beef, right?
Roast beef is my go-to.
You get like a boar's head roast beef thing, and
I'll keep a half a pound on me or 3/4 of a pound sitting in my desk in a refrigerator. And if I have to go to something real quick during the day, I can't get out. That's what I go for.
I've done stuff like that and had slices of cheese with it. I
And
mean,
that's a weird looking thing too. People going by your desk and you're sitting there dangling this thing over your head, and,
rolling it up, throwing it in your mouth. But in terms of like carnivore, in terms of keto, you got, you know, pepperoni and salami, and there's some options there, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be, you know, just the same old thing every single time. You mentioned how it has also, you know, you mentioned kind of the health changes, and you mentioned being 260, and now you're still down over 20 pounds. But you also kind of mentioned just how it changed your life. How did it kind of make some other impacts? Did it make you feel better about yourself? Did it improve things at home or anything like that? Or
definitely improved. You know, I guess I have confidence issues, but you definitely fall into ruts. And when you fall into a rut, what's the easiest thing to go for is the refrigerator.
right.
I'm not the kind of guy to be sitting in a bar every night of the week. I'm also not the kind of guy to be sitting in a gym every night of the week.
Mhm.
So what rut do you fall into? You're sitting home watching TV and you go to the refrigerator and there's days you can tear the cover off of a house, you know, and I'll go through everything I can.
Why do we do that? You just keep looking in the refrigerator as if something new is going to pop up.
Because every time you go back, your standards get a little bit lower. A little bit lower, and it's okay, yeah, fine. I'll eat that old-ass Oreo cookie.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a thing, and it's something that when you have a liver problem and you can't drink, when you have this and you can't do that, and you're trying to be conscious of this, trying to be conscious of that, you fall into that rut where you're not working out. What are you going to do? Everybody has to have some kind of vice, no matter what it may be.
Yeah.
Find a hobby, find something to do. I have several hobbies I do with my friends. Other ones that you know, I had to get stricter with myself. It was creating my own hobbies. So this learning how to cook steaks, I've actually become like very picky.
Right.
With, you know, I used to just be able to cook meat. And
it's actually kind of hard to go out to eat sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you're like, they messed up my steak.
Yeah. I'm starting to become
son of a bitch.
starting to become a little bit of a snob, and I think I'm cooking them perfect. I know there's times I set them on the table for everybody, and some people look at me like, oh man, that thing still got a pulse.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, you like it that way.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, and I think you know, the key factor there is that you've kept, you know, you kept the weight off, and part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast is because I think what I'm always trying to show people is that you can make changes, and that it doesn't have to be, you know, for me, I think some people might sit back and say, oh, you know, it's easier for them to make changes. He's got all day to kind of pick or choose and do whatever he wants, which is somewhat true. I do have the luxury of doing that on occasion, but you know, you have basically a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
And you've had a job like that for a really long time. You got obligations with your kids, and you're off doing this and you're off doing that, and you're still making time, you know, for yourself. What do you think? after spending some time working on yourself over the last maybe 2 years or so, um, how does that make you feel versus, before it seemed like you were pouring so much time into everybody else that it was almost to your own detriment health-wise?
Oh, it was totally to my own detriment. What I've noticed the last 6 months has just been that refocusing on taking care of myself. And since I've been doing that, like I said, confidence has definitely improved. I feel better about myself. I feel better about what I'm doing, where I'm heading, and how I'm getting there. You get clearer on things. Where I think when I was eating shitty and not feeling well, you had the tendency to kind of let situations dictate how you respond to them, how you feel about them.
Right.
You tend to act a little more emotional towards them.
Right.
Where now you can kind of just step back and take that rational look. And it like I said, it's been a game changer. No question about it. Now I know when I go home this time, it's back to the gym again. It's back to, to moving, to being more active, and making the time for that to happen. So
yeah, I think people they got to try to pick a lane. Pick one thing or the other. You either try to stay on your diet or try to keep moving. If you can't do both because you don't feel you have the discipline, you got the strength or whatever, and you fall off on one, you got to try to keep something in there. Every single year when Thanksgiving comes around, it usually starts around Halloween when they start to put out candy. Every single person gains like 5 pounds every year. A lot of people talk a lot about losing weight, and losing weight in this country actually is not a problem. Many people have lost a lot of weight in their lifetime, but they have a hard time keeping it off. What I advise everybody to do is try to bulletproof yourself for those situations. When it starts to be September, when it starts to be October, start to really focus in on creating some new habits towards those holidays, because you know that when your aunt makes meatballs that you're going to eat them. You know that when these certain things come across the table that you're going to eat them, and you should enjoy. I mean, look, these things pop out once a year. Why not have an opportunity to enjoy them if you can? But would it be that hard for you to, during those months, to try to ward off 2-3 pounds? Maybe not even actually lose weight, but just exercise enough to where you're neutralizing the calculation of whatever excess stuff that you eat.
Yep.
Would be. And it doesn't have to be hard. I told you some of the things you can do. You can work on getting more sleep. You can drink more water. Try to add to your life rather than just subtract everything out. You can just start to walk more. I know Uncle Peter walks all the time.
Yep.
Just walking is not hard. Throw on a pair of socks, throw on a pair of shoes, and get your ass outside and just start.
just move.
And just move. And, obviously the diet's going to play into it and stuff, but you can kind of take it one step at a time. Super proud of my dad. He's been working out about 15, 16 days in a row. And he's been making some improvements. Proud of my mom. My mom's lost almost 40 pounds. So hopefully she can kind of continue on that route. And hopefully we can get her moving more, because that'd be the next step, is to get her moving around a little bit more so she can even feel more betterist. Anything else, Andrew?
I can't validate it, but it looks like your daughter Katie just said hi, just because it's from someone else's screen name and whatnot. But no, that's all I got. It was really cool having you on, Steven, especially for our 100th episode. That's what we're kind of celebrating today.
Bing, bing, bing.
The glitter and the balloons and the dancers, they're on back order right now, so they didn't make it in time.
I'll come back.
Okay, cool.
Katie.
Yeah.
The dancer's right there. Terrell?
Uh-oh. He does a light giggle.
All right, well, I got to say hi to Katie then, because we're jumping on a plane shortly, heading back to New York. And
I love this full sweat that you broke out into. This
what's
great.
up with the air in here?
Yeah,
you said you were going to make it cool.
It was cold. Everyone was freezing, and then I have to click it back on. Yeah.
These
I don't
lights
know
are
what
hot.
happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it shut off.
Me
Because
neither.
I'm here.
I don't know why.
Did he just overheat the room?
He might have broke it. Yeah.
He broke the air conditioning.
Yeah, no, I can feel it.
What was your favorite part of this weekend? If there's a highlight.
Oh my God, we were talking about this yesterday, and my nephew was he had 2 things picked out. He couldn't pick out 3. So if I'm going to go with 3, and I'm going to need a little help here, the very first, you have to say it out loud.
Go ahead.
A little help. Oh, my son? Okay, so your father bought tickets to go to the Yolo County
And you were
Fair.
kind of hesitant to go to this derby. You didn't realize what a good time you're gonna have.
Well, at one point it was like, you go to California. I visited you guys when you were in LA, and now you're at the Yolo County Fair. And you're like, this ain't like LA. This is a little different.
A lot different.
And all of a sudden, you're sitting in this stadium, and these cars are. What an experience! The Derby to me.
So you never been to a demolition derby?
No. Never seen, never heard of.
Have you been to it
TV.
before, Andrew?
Yeah. I grew up in Woodland, so I've been to those things.
Dude, it's a must.
Yeah, I love the demolition derby.
I sent you text messages with pictures of cars. I want to see an ST car there next year. I don't have to drive it. I'd love to drive it, but anybody.
We'll just put Marcus out there by himself, just running into people.
He'd love that.
So that would be the Derby. Obviously, getting together with family is first and foremost with me, and it always will be. So catching up with you guys is as scattered as your schedule is right now with all you got going on. That was huge. San Francisco, taking my son and my family and your son to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
We had a blast. We had a great day in San Francisco. We got to go.
That looked awesome.
The Exploratorium in San Francisco. Saw a kid I graduated from high school with, who's the director of the Exploratorium. There it goes. Air's on. I haven't seen him since the day we got our diplomas.
An electrician in here?
Haven't seen him since we got our diplomas in 1990. So it was really cool catching up with him for a few minutes, and obviously spending time with my family and getting my son out here to see a different side of the world. And Katie's probably really pissed off right now because she's home, and she probably doesn't know we put her video on before, but she...
Vincent's never been out to the West Coast at all, probably, right?
He's never been anything. Florida a couple times.
Just East Coast.
First trip to the West Coast, and he's having a blast. I mean, he's seeing what's going on around him. I tried to explain to him, when you're in a different part of the country, absorb it.
Right.
See what goes on. See what other people do for a living. You don't have to do... I came up through basically a family of 9 to 5s, 7 to 3s. And not everybody's life works like that out here. And it's a lot of people here have different lifestyles, different schedules, and it's kind of a neat thing to watch.
You're going to have to hang in there then, Dad. Because it took me a long time.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's fine. Chris and I have always shared stories for years over how he wished he had what I had going on in my life, and I always look at him like, wow, he's going to leave behind movies. He's going to leave behind things. You're going to leave behind things. Your brother left behind things. Yeah, that we all learn from. Right. We're going to leave a couple bucks and a
fishing pole.
Oh, he was a good worker. That's how I always see it. Right. So it's people have different things. To me, instead of having that thing to leave behind, I try and be the person that's there for everything they do. Yeah.
Well, something that always stood out in my mind is you don't need to be rich or famous to make a huge impact. Look at the people. I mean, look at how much people care about my dad. Look how much people care about your dad and your mom. I mean, these are people that are having a really huge impact, a personal impact on people's lives. A celebrity or somebody like that, or somebody who's obtaining some of these things, they really don't have the time to, even though they are affecting thousands and sometimes affecting millions, and they have charities and they do all these great things. All those things are cool, but they don't have the direct impact. And I'll never forget how many people came to our grandfather's funeral. Yeah. I remember that. I was like, I knew that people loved him, and I knew that people cared about him, but there was a shitload of people there. And I was like, he's like a rock star. I'm like, this is amazing. And so many people had, so many great things to say about him. And when Mad Dog passed too, it was the same thing. It's like literally hundreds of people showed up. And so I don't think that you don't have to be in search of anything greater. I think what you're doing is great, and the impact that you're having is on the most important people anyway. You know, I've learned the lesson many times over of, you know, we got this circle, and everybody else needs to be blocked out. There's this, you know, at night doors are locked for a reason. You know, people are welcome into my house during the day, and we hang out, but the doors are locked at the end of the day for a reason. I need to impact the people that are inside my home, and anything more than that is a little extra. But anything more than that is taking chunks. It's eating chunks away from me. So, you know, it's fun and it's cool and it's great to get out there and have people recognize you and things like that. But you're doing great things. You're a great dad. I admire, you know, the time that you pour into your kids, and I've always admired you, and you have a great work ethic, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on this show, is because you're not a fitness celebrity. I've had a lot of those on the show, and Andrew will back me up on this. A lot of times they suck. A lot of times their story's boring because they have got nothing going on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, tell me more about this 900-pound deadlift. And they're like, so I started lifting when I was 15, and then I got stronger. and you're like, okay, you know, you don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, you got
no life experience.
Just nothing. You're like, there's nothing going on. You're dead behind the eyes. Mm-hmm. So all the shit you're doing is having an impact on the people that you're supposed to have an impact on, and you're not supposed to be doing anything else. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. I'm out of here.